Fine. With square roots and inequalities, since it's a different type of problem, you would expect a different set of rules, and you have that. With radicals, what you want to do, first of all, is figure out what has to be avoided. And you must avoid anything that makes what's inside the radical a negative. I know you know how to take the square root of a negative. You know that's imaginary, but when it comes to graphing on a number line, that doesn't exist. So when we solve this, we get x is less than 4. You must avoid that. To figure out any other critical points, take your problem and instead of solving it as an inequality, solve it as an equal problem. Square the two sides, and we end up with a critical point at 85. So we're going to take our number line. We're going to locate our critical points of 4. Anything to the left of 4 is going to be avoided. You'll see what happens when I check that with my calculator table. And we have the critical point 85. Not only am I going to check regions, but I'm also going to check the critical points. So I'm going to go to my table, my calculator. Now to do this easily on the calculator, I'm going to take that 9 and I'm going to subtract it to the other side. So I'm going to type in for my y1. And what I'll be doing is I'll be comparing, since I took the 9 over, I'll be comparing my table to less than 0. Anything less than 0, shade. Anything not less than 0, don't shade. So I'm going to type out second square root. Oops. What have I gotten into? Y equals second square root x minus 4, and then I subtracted that 9 over. I have my table set up with the independent variable being in ask mode, so when I go to my table, it's zeroed out. So I'm going to check something to the left of the 4. How about 0? You'll get an error message. In fact, anything you check to the left of 4 is going to give you an error message. -5 error message. So you will avoid this region to the left. How about 4 itself? Since we have -9 and we're comparing up against it being less than 0, you will shade that 4. How about something in between 4 and 85? How about 5? How about 6? How about 80? How about 84? Anything between 4 and 85 is going to be a negative. Negative is less than 0? Yes. So you will shade all of this region. What about the 85? 85 returns 0. 0 is not less than 0. If it had the equal to, we would shade. We have to open that up. Something on the right side of 85, how about 86? How about 90? How about 100? All of these are giving us positive values, which are not less than 0. We will not shade here. Let me fill in the rest of my graph there. Interval notation, we have a closed circle on 4, an open circle on 85. Number 36, we have a radical. We have to avoid a certain area. X plus 2 is less than 0 must be avoided. X less than -2 must be avoided. For the rest of the critical points, solve it. Not with the inequality, but with an equal sign. Square the two sides. Subtract the 2. Let me zero out my table here. Go to my y equals, clear that. Second square root x plus 2. And I'm going to subtract that 5 over so that I'm comparing everything up against 0. Subtract the 5 over. Go to my table. I'll show you the number line I'm considering, I'm looking at. Here's negative 2. Here's positive 23. So I'm going to check regions and the critical points. To the left of negative 2, negative 3. How about negative 4? Everything to the left is going to give you an error message, avoid. How about negative 2 itself? Negative 2 gives me a negative 5. When I compare negative 5 to being less than 0, I will shade. Something in between, negative 1, 0. All of these are going to end up with negative results. They are less than 0, so you will shade. Just like the last problem, it looks like. How about 23? 23 returns 0. 0 is not less than 0. Open. Continue with this shading. Something to the right, something to the right, and all those values will be positive. You will avoid that region also, or you won't shade it. Negative 2 with a bracket because of the closed, 23 with the parentheses because of the open circle. (37). Here we have to avoid a couple of regions. I want to avoid x plus 4 is less than 0. So I will avoid that. And I will avoid 5 minus x is less than 0. Subtract the 5. Divide by negative 1. Be sure to flip the direction. So anything to the left of negative 4, anything to the right of positive 5, we must avoid. Find any other critical points by changing it to an equal problem. Square the two sides. Bring the x over. Take the 4 over. Divide out the 2. So our critical points, we have 3 this time. Negative 4, positive 1/2, positive 5. I know I'm going to avoid here and here, but I'll check it in my calculator anyway. Let me exit, enter, or delete all these numbers. Go to my y equals. I want to take this little rascal here to the other side so that I can compare everything to being greater than or equal to 0. That looks correct. Second table. To the left of negative 4, negative 3, error message. That's not to the left. Negative 5 is to the left. Negative 6 is to the left. All those will be error messages. How about negative 4 itself? Now remember, I'm comparing it to greater than or equal to 0. Negative 4 returns negative 3. We will not shade that. That would stay open or unshaded. Something between the negative 4 and the 1/2. Negative 3 this time. A negative, not greater than or equal to 0. Negative 2, 0. All those say negative. How about 1/2? 1/2 returns 0, which is greater than or equal to 0. It's equal. Shade. So everything back this way, not shaded. We had an open circle on the negative 4. We'll just forget about it. In between the 1/2 and the 5, 1. That's greater than or equal to 0. 2, 4. All positive values. Shade. Positive 5. Positive value. Shade. That's a closed circle because it's a number though. Anything to the right, 6, error message. 7, they'll all be error messages. So this will be closed circle, closed circle. Number 37, or 38. We must avoid 2 different regions here. Avoid this being less than 0. Subtract your 12, divide your 2. Subtract your 3, do a sign change, divide by negative 1, flip the direction of the inequality. So to the left, just like on that last problem, looks like we're avoiding something, and to the right, upside, we're avoiding something. Find the other critical point, or points, by setting this equal. Whoops. Square the two sides. Bring that x over. Subtract that 12. Divide the 3. So we have, what do we have? We have negative 6 to the left, negative 3, and positive 3. I'm going to subtract this to the other side so I can compare everything with this less than sign to being less than 0. So delete all these little things. Y equals clear. Subtracting the second radical over. Second table to the left, negative 7, negative 8. These will all be error messages because I have to avoid to the left of negative 6. Negative 6 itself, I am comparing to less than 0. I will close that circle in on that number. In between negative 6 and negative 3, negative 5, it's a negative value. Negative 4, a negative value. How about negative 3? 0, not less than 0 though, open. And I believe that's all we'll end up shading. In between the negative 3 and the 3, 0, everything will be positive. 3 itself, positive. Anything to the right of 3, error message. So this is the only area that we shade in between the negative 6 and the 3. Closed circle, open circle. Number 39, we'll avoid 3x minus 6 is less than 0. Add the 6, divide the 3. And we will also avoid 10 minus x is less than 0. Subtract the 10, sign change, divide by negative 1, flip the direction of the inequality. So anything to the left of 2, anything to the right of 10. The other critical points come from solving. Square the two sides. I can see you guys doing all that in one step. X comes over, 6 goes over. Two, 4, and 10. Subtract this rascal over so we can compare everything up against 0. Delete those numbers. Here we go. Second square root, 3x minus 6. Close that parentheses, take away. Second square root, 10 minus x. Close the parentheses. Second table. To the left, 1, error message. 2, critical point. Negative 2 point, definitely less than 0. Shade, or closed circle because it's a point. In between the 2 and the 4, 3, going to be negative. Shade. 4. 4 gives me 0. 0 is not less than 0. Open circle. If it was the equal to sign, we would include it. And I believe that'll be all we shade. 5, positive value, not less than 0. 6, positive, not less than 0. 10, definitely not less than 0. Anything to the right, error message. Final answer, a closed circle on 2, an open circle on 4. Hey, have a nice day. Clean your rooms.